Hello, I'm designer DK. Starting with this video, I'd like to begin a series on practical applications of responsive web design. I expect it will be divided into about 4 parts, though I'll know the exact number as I continue with the production. In this responsive series, I'm going to show you how to take a basic web design created in Figma and transform it into a responsive layout that matches 4 different screen sizes. As you can see, this base design doesn't respond to screen sizes at all, but by setting it up responsively, you can maintain a consistent layout regardless of the screen size or device, providing a great product design that doesn't break even when the screen is resized. Ultimately, these responsive designs from Figma can be published using HTML and CSS to be implemented directly in a web browser. However, since the publishing process requires development languages like HTML and CSS, I won't be covering actual coding. In this series, I'll stick to creating responsive designs for each screen size within Figma. In the industry, designers usually stop at this point as the publishing process involves writing code, which is typically handled by developers. Even though I won't be covering publishing, in this series, I'm showing you the finished published example to demonstrate that if you work carefully in Figma with responsive design in mind, you can achieve the exact same result in a real browser. Another reason is that I want to encourage you to learn the basics of publishing, a point I've often emphasized in my other videos. Of course, as I mentioned, publishing may not strictly be a designer's role, but since our final output is displayed in a browser rather than Figma, understanding the structure of HTML and CSS helps you build better responsive designs and gain a clearer sense of the actual product. If learning to publish were extremely difficult and time-consuming, I wouldn't recommend it, but it's actually quite simple and easy. I believe anyone can easily master it with about 2 weeks to a month of focused study. It didn't take me that long to learn either. Especially these days, there are many YouTube channels and free courses that explain things really well and easily, and I personally tend to recommend a free course called Living Coding Open Tutorials. I studied there myself, and since they explain coding concepts in a very kind and easy way without being difficult at all, there's a lot to learn, so it's a great channel to check out. Now, returning to the topic, if we look at the structure of the responsive design we're trying to complete, the design changes based on each screen size, and these points of change are what we call breakpoints. It's fair to say that this is a very important concept in responsive design. In web design, since vertical height can be controlled by scrolling, it doesn't really need much consideration. In practice, we set breakpoints based on the horizontal width. When setting these breakpoints, you can check device-specific sizes in Figma, and factors like the resolution of each device will influence your breakpoint settings. In addition to device resolution, you also need to consider the layout of the design you're working on. Only then can you decide how many times to break and at which points it will be most effective. This means that it is realistically very difficult to define the breakpoints perfectly before you even begin the design process. If there were perfect preset values, every designer around the world would be using the same industry standards and the same figures. Unfortunately, however, in reality, there is no such fixed correct answer. That's bound to be the case because, for instance, just looking at this example design, the number of vertical columns in the card layout will significantly affect how you set your breakpoint intervals. Even if you decide on the number of columns, as you narrow the screen, it's very hard to predict exactly when the text elements will start to collide with each other. Looking at the top menu, depending on the amount of information or functional items, you won't know exactly when the design will break until you actually start designing it. If you narrow it down, the search bar and logo will touch. If the search bar weren't there, you could narrow it further, but since it is, you'll need to set the breakpoint earlier. Because there are so many planning and design variables like this, I believe it's very difficult to predetermine the exact breakpoint values before you start designing. Instead, I think it's a good idea to set up a basic skeleton or a rough structure before you dive into the design. By building this skeleton in advance, you can adjust specific details like when to set breakpoints as you actually work on the design. The best way to build this rough design skeleton in advance is to utilize layout grids. I'd like to show you how to set up a layout grid simply. New Figma file, draw a frame, and with that frame selected, you can add a layout grid from the right-hand interface. If you click the plus button to activate it, it starts in a dense grid mode, so let's select that and change the mode from grid to columns. Satien to columns. Once you set the layout grid to a column structure, you can control detailed properties like count, margin, and gutter. The column count is quite literally the number of columns here. And you can also set the margin and the gutter. The margin refers to the space between the outside of these columns, that is, the edge of the screen, and the entire block of columns. It's currently set to 0, so there's no margin, and it's filled up, but let's try adding some margin. I'll set the margin to about 60. Now you can see that margins have been created on both sides, which is what we call the margin. Gutter refers to the space between each of the individual columns. It would be exactly this part here. In the case of gutters, they often vary depending on the number of columns or the design style, but I personally prefer to set common rules for margins as much as possible. I usually set the margin to about 36 pixels for large screens like desktops, and for tablet-sized screens, I tend to set it to around 24. And for mobile, I usually set the margin value to around 16 pixels. Of course, there is no single right answer, but anyway, when I start working, I usually set these basic margin standards for the 3 types of devices, and I plan to use these standards as a base for this example as well. The responsive series examples I will be covering will start from a basic design page where no responsive design is applied yet, and since this series will focus specifically on responsive design, let's look at the basic design and style sections set up here. I'd like to proceed with the text, colors, and similar elements already set up. For those who want to follow along, I've provided a link to the base Figma file, so downloading it and trying it out together will likely be very helpful. Using a plugin called Styler, which I recommended in my previous plugin video, we can run extract styles to easily pull all the styles applied to this design. Looking at the extracted results, we can see that simple text styles were assigned and applied, and these color styles were used as well. For the font family, I used Pretender. As you can see, the text and font styles are already applied, but the layout grid I mentioned earlier hasn't been set up yet. Let's go ahead and set that up simply right now. Now, I'll select the screen and add a layout grid like this. I will click on the grid, change the mode to columns, and set the count to 4 for now. Since I'm starting with the desktop design, I'll set the margin to 36 pixels, which is my preferred default margin for desktop. Now you can see that a 36 pixel margin has been applied to both sides, and I'll set the gutter to 24. I'm going to register this configured grid as a style. I will click the button with the dots next to the layout grid to register it as a grid style. I'll press the plus icon and name it L to represent large. Once I click Create Style, L is applied. If you deselect the screen and check the styles, on the right you can see that the large grid style has been registered. I'll press the plus button next to the grid style, again to add a medium grid style this time. I'll name it M, click the Grid Settings button, change the mode to columns again, and set the margin to 24 and the gutter to 16 to create a tablet grid style. Now let's add one more style. Once again, I'll click it, set the mode to columns, set the margin to 16, and enter 12 for the gutter to create a grid style mainly for mobile sizes. I'll name it Ese. Now you can confirm that 3 grid styles, large, medium, and small, have been registered. We will add another style later as we go through the examples, but for now I'm going to set these 3 up in advance. Well, through this video, I've explained the overall plan for the upcoming responsive design series, and we also took a look at the concepts of breakpoints and layout grids. Starting with the next video, we will dive into practical applications, and I'll be utilizing Figma's auto layout quite a lot. I believe the most important fundamental skill for using auto layout is the criteria by which you group these elements together. In the next video, I will explain those criteria in detail and proceed to set up the top navigation design using auto layout so that it responds to the screen size. Please look forward to it. If this was helpful, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.